Okay, I'm gonna read Matthew chapter 24, and this is something that a lot of people may have heard, but that doesn't mean necessarily that they have listened to what's in it. There's a lot of important stuff in this chapter, so I'm just going to go through it and point out some of those important things. So, Matthew 24, verse 1. And Yeshua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to shew him the buildings of the temple. And Yeshua said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? So he's saying right there, this is the signs of the end of the world. Some people like to twist Matthew 24 and say it's about the destruction of the temple in 70 AD, and that's absolutely not the case. So I'll point out a few other things that prove that, but this is the signs of the end of the world. So this is for us. And Yeshua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. So this doesn't mean there's going to be people literally saying that they are Christ, saying they're going to be coming and saying that he is Christ, the Messiah, and they shall deceive many. So there are going to be many deceiving many, claiming to be Christians in the last days. So that's why we have 50,000 different denominations right now, roughly, probably a little bit less, that are all deceiving people, getting false doctrine and not following the Bible faithfully. They're not keeping the Ten Commandments. They're doing idolatry. They're breaking the Sabbath. They're eating unclean things. So there's just a lot of error. And this is the sign of the end that he warned you about. Verse 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences, and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. So another thing that people are deceiving people with is once saved, always saved. This is not the case. Very clearly, verse 13, but he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. You have to endure to the end. You are not saved if you turn away from the faith and you don't keep God's commandments. Verse 14, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. So what gospel? The gospel of the kingdom. And that's exactly what Paul preached. Some people like to say that Paul had a completely different gospel than the Messiah, and that we as Gentiles, we only need to follow Paul's gospel. But no, the Messiah is saying right here, verse 14, the gospel of the kingdom is what's going to be preached to the nations. That word nation means Gentiles, heathen. It's all the same word in Greek. So whenever you see that, it's talking about Gentiles. You're not supposed to be a Gentile. You're supposed to be grafted into Israel as a believer. The Messiah even said he came for the lost sheep of Israel. So you have to be grafted in. Paul teaches Romans 11, Ephesians 2, you were grafted into Israel as a believer in the Messiah. So the rules like the Sabbath day, that is for you as well. And we're actually going to see this in a couple verses. So verse 15, when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. Now listen to this one. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. So, again, great tribulation never seen before in the entire world. This isn't 70 AD. But verse 20, pray that your flight be not on the Sabbath day. He's talking to us, the end days people. He's saying, you guys, pray that your flight is not on the Sabbath because he still wants us to be keeping it. This is still one of the Ten Commandments. You need to observe the Sabbath day. Pray that your flight is not on the winter. Like, do the math there. Why else would he be telling you that? Is if he didn't want you to keep it? So there you go. That's your New Testament right there, telling you to keep the Sabbath. Some people like to say, oh, it's never repeated in the New Testament, but no, it is right there. Also, he just tells you to keep the Ten Commandments in the New Testament multiple times. All right. Verse 22, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. That if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall shew great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. So if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. But the very elect cannot be deceived because they have the grace of God with them that's going to prevent that. They have the spirit of truth, which you get if you keep the Ten Commandments. That's John 14, verses 15 to 17. So if the very elect are the only people that are not going to be deceived in the last days, then that means there's going to be a very small number of people that are speaking trustworthy words in the last days. So when people come and say, "Oh, do you think all these people have been wrong? You know, all these different denominations, do you think they all got it wrong?" Like, yes, this is what the Bible teaches. The whole world is going to be deceived except for the very elect. Revelation 12:9 says the same thing. Satan deceives the whole world. Revelation 18, verse 23 says that the whole world is going to be deceived by sorceries, Babylonian sorceries like Christmas, Easter, all the stuff that America, Babylon is pushing. So do not be deceived. He's warning you right here. And everyone, they don't listen to that. All right. Verse 25, behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. Verse 29, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. So this is the sixth seal. This is when the great tribulation starts, 3.5 years. Verse 30, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. So he's going to send his angels, the 144K, who get a glorified body by that point, the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect, the elect woman, the woman that goes into the wilderness. He's going to gather them into the second Exodus back into the land. And I'll get to that in a sec, actually. Never mind. But that's what it's talking about there. Verse 20 or verse 32. Now learn a parable of the fig tree when his branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh. So likewise ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. So what people will do is say, oh, stop saying that we're at the end of the world. They've been saying that for 2,000 years. And of course, that's exactly what Satan wants you to be saying. This is the time where you need to realize that this is coming. Verse 34, verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Whenever he's talking about this generation, he's speaking prophetically about this generation, the last generation. And it started with 1948, what should I call it? The regathering of Judah, the tribe of Judah, the southern kingdom of Israel. Not all 12 tribes have returned yet, but Judah, the tents of Judah are saved first, as Zechariah chapter 12 prophesies about. So don't be one of these people that is just like basically mocking and scoffing at the people saying that the end is near. Like, this is the time. Like Hosea 2, the Lord will tarry for 2 days, and on the third day he will revive us, resurrect us. So 2 days, a day with the Lord is like 1,000 years. So we are at the end here. We are seeing all this stuff coming to pass. Right? 35, heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. Verse 36, but of that day and hour knoweth no man, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. So nobody's going to be prepared. They're just going to be scoffing and saying, "Oh, my Lord delays his coming," you know, just like he's warning you about right here. They're going to be eating, drinking, marrying, and giving in marriage. They're going to be uh, focused on the cares of this world. He who saves his life will lose it, and he who loses his life for the Messiah's sake will find it. So, verse 40, then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken and the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken and the other left. So this is not talking about the rapture. I've seen a couple people use that, but no, the person who is taken is the wicked person. They're taken to death. That's what it actually says it more clearly in Luke's account. I forgot actually where, but that's what the eagles gathering around the carcasses is talking about. They're going to be taken to death, and their bodies are going to be surrounded by the eagles. So you don't want to be taken. Remember the Messiah's parable also about the wheat and the tares. The tares are taken first, and they're cast into unquenchable fire, but the wheat is taken back to the barn. That's to the in the second Exodus back to God's kingdom, which comes down to earth. Verse 42, watch, therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come. So this is important. Watching is an idiom, and it's quoting Ezekiel 33, and it means to warn the people to repent from their sins. And that's what a lot of me and my brothers and sisters are doing, but um, they're having a lot of trouble because, well, nobody's listening. And that's just what it says is going to happen when you do this stuff. But then there's also the evil servants who, well, I guess I'll get to that in this next verse here. All right, verse 43, but know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as you think not, the Son of Man cometh. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord hath made ruler over his household to give them meat in due season? Blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Verily I say unto you that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. So this is the blessed servant. Blessed is a title. Look at the Beatitudes. That's all about the harvest workers versus the evil feasters right now. But this is the good servant. They are going to be watching. Now, this is in contrast to the evil servants who say this, verse 48, but and if that evil servant shall say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunken, the Lord of that servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour that he is not ware of, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So those are your two choices you got there. You can be the good servant who watches, or you can be the evil one who gets bored or burnt out, or they just stop watching because maybe they don't have a heart for the people. And if you are struggling with this, ask God for prayer or in prayer for these things that you're struggling with. Don't just give up and just stop doing the work, but keep doing it so that you can be that blessed servant and not the wicked one who is, well, appointed for weeping and gnashing of teeth. So that ends Matthew 24 here. Hopefully that taught somebody something, but very important, always make sure you listen to what the Messiah is actually saying and you think about it.